Nigerian should be able to live and work in a hospitable and safe environment in the north or south or east or west of Nigeria.
Daily Communion for the love of God and neighbor.
This is Daily Communion on Catholic Television of Nigeria. We are reaching you from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. Today is Wednesday, the first day of October 2025. Happy Independence Day, Nigeria. Good morning. I am Joy Ubem.
Good morning and welcome to today's edition of Daily Affirmations. Do you know that the difference between possibility and impossibility is determination? Once you're determined about doing something, the possibility just presents itself. Philippians chapter 4 verse 13 says, I can do all things with Christ who strengthens me. And so what do you think is impossible for you? Pick up that task that you feel it's impossible today. Remember that Christ says he would help you do all things. And if Christ is for you, then you are able to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. Do not let anyone deceive you. As long as it is possible, then it is possible for you. As long as you have the energy, you have the strength, you have the hope, you are agile, you're motivated, you can do it. Go out today and make it. God bless you.
Welcome to Health Tips on the Daily Communion. It is very vital that we take care of our health. We always say on this program that if you don't take care of your health, who will? Sickness will evade your body like plagues and cut your life short. So it is expedient that you take care of your body. Today on Health Tips, we're doing hypertension. Hypertension, also known as high blood pressure, is a medical condition where the blood pressure in the arteries is persistently elevated. It's not supposed to be persistently elevated. It's supposed to maintain a level. But when it's persistently elevated, you are in danger, and it is called high blood pressure, which leads to hypertension. Now, how do you know when you're getting hypertensive or your blood pressure is getting elevated? You begin to feel headaches. These are the first things you will notice in your body. I always tell you on this program that headache itself is not a sickness. It's actually a symptom of an underlying sickness. It's a symptom leading you to something else. So if you begin to feel headache persistently, know that there is a danger. The next thing you will experience will be dizziness. You're feeling dizzy all the time. Then you begin to feel like, okay, now you begin to bleed from your nose. It's called nosebleeds. And you begin to feel that, you know that no, something is wrong. And then you begin to feel fatigue all the time. You'll be feeling tired, fatigue. Then other times you'll be feeling confused, so confused you don't even know. Little things just confused you. Then you should know that your life is somehow in danger and you have to seek help. What are the causes of this hypertension? Sometimes we get it from our genes, we get it from our parents, father, mother, or from any family member. Sometimes it is just genetics. You get it from a family member. And sometimes it is as a result of obesity. Measures you can take to take care of hypertension. You have to regularly monitor your blood pressure, regularly manage and monitor your blood pressure, and maintain a healthy weight too. Obesity is not good for anyone. Then you also have to regularly exercise. Get involved in physical activity. Also get enough sleep. Don't take too much salt. I keep repeating on this program, excess salt is not good for your system. Then make sure you get enough sleep. Avoid smoking. I keep saying all the time, avoid smoking, avoid smoking, avoid smoking. Avoid taking excessive alcohol. If you notice any of these symptoms that I've mentioned, it is time to consult your doctor so that they can help plan out a personalized management plan for hypertension if you're already down with it. We believe that this information is at your fingertips and you will make the best of it. Now, let's go again to our exercise session so that we can keep fit.
Good morning, welcome to the morning drill as usual with your favorite coach, Abba. So we are drilling on cardio fitness with Abba Fitness. And don't forget to follow me on my Instagram page, which is Abba Fitness. Today we'll be taking on a side box kick punching, which as usual, I'll be taking on the advanced workout.
I will be taking you guys on the modified program of the side punches. And also, don't forget my Instagram page, Raf King.
So let's go.
Yes! Sha, sha, sha. Take it up. Enjoy your win, enjoy your win, enjoy your win. Sha, yeah. 1, 2. With a smile. Sandra, give me that beautiful smile. Yes, I like that. Yes, Tini. Welcome back. Sha, sha.
back to Daily Communion on Catholic Television of Nigeria. If you are just joining us, it's our discussion segment. Of course, we are reaching you from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. As Nigeria marks 65 years of independence, we pause, not just to celebrate the journey so far, but to take a critical look at the structure that has held us together. Today, our focus is on the national framework of Nigeria, the foundation upon which our governance, unity, justice, and development lies. Are our constitutional values still relevant in today's Nigeria? What about our federal structure? Does it promote growth, equity, and peace? Does the system favor all Nigerians? All these we'll take a look. Please stay with us as we'll take a look at the national framework of Nigeria at 65. We have joining us in our studio this morning a public affairs analyst, Mr. Nick Agule. Welcome to Daily Communion, sir.
They have a point, yes, to say that in a parliamentary system of government, we have one parliament. Maybe in the UK they have two. In the UK they have House of Lords, they have House of Commons, right? But you are not going to have this over-bloated National Assembly that we have of 360 House members and 109 senators. Even the US, where we copied from, it's only 2 senators per state. It's not 3, right? So they have a point. But that is not the issue for me. That's not the issue. The issue is not even the cost. We can afford the cost. The issue is that we copied a system of government called the presidential system of government, which is meant to be a democracy. But we are not running it in the way that it's been designed. If you buy a piece of equipment, anything you buy, even the camera that I'm looking at now, there is a manual, there's an operating manual. And if you follow the operating manual, you will get the best out of that equipment, like this camera. If you don't follow the operating manual, you're not going to get anything out of it. In fact, like I gave you the example of a Mercedes and a BMW. If you buy a Mercedes and the manufacturer says, put in petrol to get this car working, and you put in water, and then you now become dumbfounded why the car is not working. So, what am I saying? A democracy runs on fuel. What's the fuel? Number one, there has to be sanctity of the electoral process. The people must decide their leaders. Number two, there has to be the independence of the legislative arm of government from the executive arm of government. Number three, there has to be independence of the judicial arm of government from the other arms of government. Number four, there has to be the people arm of government around the table. That means give people free speech, give them freedom of association, give them all their rights. If you now say, is that the fuel Nigeria is putting in the democracy that
but
we
that
have?
might be why the former president Obasanjo said that democracy, the way we are running it, is not how it's being done. So probably Africa needs to look at their own type of democracy. What kind of democracy? Because if we're copying the Western style of democracy, that's probably why things are not working as it's working in the Western nations. So in your own view, what do you think we can do to tailor democracy to fit African culture, to suit our own yearning and aspiration, not just copy and paste like you are talking about, following the manufacturer's manual?
I hear people say that, and I don't argue with it. The only thing I always ask for is that, what's that alternative? Because if you think that the system of government that we're running, whether democracy or presidential democracy or parliamentary democracy, is not the right system of government, then put put on the table what you think is that system of
But
government.
that is why the government, that is why we are having constitutional reviews.
Yeah.
And we've had the one that was done by, I don't know if it was Abacha or I don't know the regime. I think Goodluck Jonathan, we had the constitutional conference, we've had constitutional reviews. And probably these are ways the nation is trying to chart a proper way for us here. Why is it that all those reviews, all those things that we have done to get our acts right, why is it that it's difficult to implement?
I'll give you one answer.
Yeah.
It's not about the system of government. It's not about even the people, because in Nigeria we are normal people. We just have one head, two hands, two legs, like every other, one heart and all of that, right? There's one thing missing in all of this. Even if we fashion that Nigeria-centric system of government or African-centric system of government, the one that we create by ourselves without copying anybody, if one ingredient is missing, it's not going to work. What's that ingredient? It's the rule of law. Any system of government that you operate, if there is rule of law backing it, it's going to work. If there's no rule of law, it's not going to work, right? Because rule of law is bring everybody equal before the law. Do you know what I tell people? And I'm happy I'm sitting on Catholic television, so I can do a bit of theology. If you give me 2 minutes, I can do a bit of theology, right? God made man and woman. And as the manufacturer of man and woman, God provided the operating manual on how you can get the best out of man and woman. Where was that operating manual provided for? It was in the Garden of Eden. What happened in the Garden of Eden is God setting the example for every human society that this is how you run man and woman to get the best results. What happened? Number one, God made man and woman. 2, God put the law on the table. 3, there was human action. In this case, the human action was disobedience of the law. Because, I mean, for those who may not be Christians who are watching us, the law was that man and woman could eat of the fruits of the trees all around the garden. But the fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden, they were not to eat. That's law, right? Number 3, man and woman disobeyed the law. Number 4, God created the judiciary. How did he create the judiciary? He created the judiciary to say, if human action breaks the law, don't do jungle justice. You must give man and woman the opportunity to explain themselves, defend themselves. And God did that. And when man and woman explained themselves, God looked at their explanation and found them guilty. And so he pronounced sentence. So there was sentencing, which was, I'm going to send you out of the garden. Number 5, God executed the sentence. Any nation that is running humanity with these 5 steps will be rich, prosperous, safe, doing well, no issues. Any nation that is running, even without one missing, will be like Nigeria. Not safe, poverty, out of school children, no electricity, no water, no road, insecurity.
So in essence, you are saying the original vision of this country from independence has been distorted.
Yes, the vision of this country has been distorted because the British were here. I was born in 1966. So I was just born 6 years after independence. So I was born into post-colonial Nigeria. So as at then, 6 years later, after the colonialists left, the remnants of colonialism were still with us. We hadn't totally shaken them off. And that was a better Nigeria I was growing up in. That was a Nigeria where our education was sound. Books were given to us in school free of charge. That was a Nigeria where if I was sick, I go to the general hospital in Boko, where I grew up. From the reception to whatever surgery, admission, anything, I paid nothing. Yeah, that was a Nigeria where there was no fence in the whole of Boko, no fence. Everybody just go to everybody's compound. We didn't know about kidnapping or bandits or things like that, right? That was a Nigeria, a post-colonial Nigeria I grew up, and that would have been a Nigeria that needed to be bettered with us taking over. But if you ask people of today whether they prefer this Nigeria now or that post-colonial Nigeria, if they were of my age, they will quickly tell you that they prefer the post-colonial Nigeria. So the vision of a country that will become independent and then will be more prosperous, will look after ourselves and all of that, totally defeated.
That will lead me. That will lead me to make a compliment for a 59-year-old. You've done well in appearance. So that's that's on a lighter note. However, I would like to say that things you just listed now. Would you say Nigeria is a failed state?
Okay, so let me appraise Nigeria on the 5 steps in God's manual to run humanity. Okay. Number 1, God created man and woman. We have first class, no issue. 200 million people plus, no issue with that. We are doing excellently well. When God said, go multiply and feed the world, we are champions. Nigeria is the 6th largest population in the whole world. So, no issue. Number 2, law. No issue. We have first class.
In
law. Nigeria gave law, yeah.
Okay.
The UK that was our colonial master, they don't even have a constitution. A lot of people don't know that. Okay. The UK has no written constitution. Nigeria has a constitution. We have laws. Today I was on TV, on that TV station, we're discussing labor, and I listed about 6 labor laws in Nigeria alone. I listed the Constitution, I listed the Labor Act, I listed the Trade Unions Act, I listed the Employee Compensation Act, I listed the Pension Reform Act, I listed the Minimum Wage Act. We have no issue with law. Too many laws even. That's number 2. Yeah? Number 3, human action. First class, no issue. In this Nigeria, people are breaking the law, people are doing good things. Like we are on this television in channels, on Catholic television, we are doing good. We're not breaking any law here, right? We're doing real good. So there are people doing real good, there are people doing real bad. Human action is taking place, first class. The issue begins with number 4, judiciary. Is the judiciary in Nigeria happening in the way God designed it in the Garden of Eden? Answer is no. Why? Because when man broke the law and God appeared to set up the judiciary in the Garden of Eden, God didn't say, oh, you know what? If it was these goats and sheep and these birds, we could have taken action against them. But because you are man and woman, we created you in our own image, we'll give you some soft landing. Right? Did God do that? No. In Nigeria, does it happen like that? No. Because in Nigeria, if I do something, it depends on whether I'm a party member or I sponsor some campaign, or I am an apologist for government or something like that. I can have a free passage. But if they think I'm opposing them or I'm whatever, then I can be dealt with. If you do like that, you will not develop. We can be here for the next 1,000 years, we cannot develop, right? So we have failed on the judiciary. Our judiciary is not as designed by God in the Garden of Eden. And number 5, which is law enforcement, is the one that we have even failed the most. Do you understand? Remember I told you that these 5 steps, you must tick all of them to develop. If you miss one, you are not there. And we have 2 missed. That's why we are where we are. If we want to correct our steps as a nation, we need to go back to those 5 steps. We can't run man and woman better than the designer, the manufacturer himself, God, did. Just check around the world. The nations that are following these 5 steps, they are the Canadas, the United States, the UK, the Singapores of this world. right? And it has nothing to do with religion. You know, I presented a paper to a university, a Christian university. I say it has nothing to do with religion. Even if you don't go to church or you don't go to mosque, but you follow these 5 God-given steps, you will do well. You see what I mean? Yes. You will do well. 5 steps, follow them, you will do well. Now you can even see empirical evidence. There are nations that don't go to church. They don't go to church at all, they don't go to mosque. But they are doing so well that our young people will rather abandon us with our religion, our church going and mosque going, and jackpot to those nations that are not going to church or mosque.
We'll get to talk about how we can work on achieving these 5 steps and making them better, like as you just mentioned. But we really have to go on a quick break right now, and we'll be back. Our guest has been the public affairs analyst, Mr. Nick Agule, and he's still here with us. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue from where we stop. Please stay with us and don't go away. We'll be right back.
My name is Reshi Yakubu Yila, and we are out here in the city of Abuja to know what independence actually means to the citizen and its country. What's your name?
My name is David, man.
So David, what does independence means to you?
It means gaining freedom from something or being in captivity, because during those days, whenever independence were being ruled by the colonial masters, the British. So we get now independence mean we are able to do things on our own without someone controlling us. Yes, man. So that's what I understand about independence. Yes. Thank you, man.
Thank you, David.
No, we are still depending. We are still depending.
Wow. Okay. Okay, can you give us a reason why we are still depending?
Because what I say we are still depending. In fact, we don't know. I'm a Nigerian, and I'm not benefit. In fact, I don't know what I say I can benefit. Eh?
That's really bad.
In this country, you understand? You buy something, maybe 10,000. Tomorrow you go is 15,000. You understand? Meanwhile, we have president, we have senate, we have house of reps, we have house of assembly members, and the rest. You understand? They doesn't consider us at all.
Funny enough, they give themselves plenty salary.
They give themselves plenty salary. Doesn't about what mercy they are passing through. You understand? So we are still. I can't say we are independent. We are still dependent. You understand?
Oh, well, independence means to be able to stay on your own, you know, without support from anybody, to be break free from a bondage, to be able to be sustainable to yourself, to be able to cater for yourself. You know, I think that is what independence means to me. Independent, I don't know, it's figurative. You are saying tomorrow Nigeria is 65. You know, if you follow our constitution by 18, when we were in the university at 18, we started independent life. You know, we're living on our own. We're not under our parents' roof. But right now, you're looking at Nigeria that is 6.5, about 65 years. And you are saying it's not truly independent. The independence is figurative. We can't do a lot of things on our own. Okay, and then you find out that almost 70% of everything you see in this country, you see made in China. You see that, you see made in everything you see here is made in China. And then from other countries, you find out that what we're supposed to do for ourselves, even the food sustainability, there's no food security, there is no personal individual security, people are not free. You know, the more we get better, we're supposed to live responsible and reliable and be a strong nation. But right now, we are still dependent on other nations. So the independence is figurative. If you have to get things from China, you have to get food from China. Rice, we can't produce rice. Everything is expensive in the market. And so you begin to question the independence. It's an agrarian nation. We should have food sustainability. We should have security and all that. But they are not there. And you say independence, independence. I think the independence is very ironical.
What do I think about independence? It's a day, actually, but what we're meant to be celebrating, we're not celebrating it. We're meant to be celebrating Nigeria's independence. And as of now, I don't think Nigeria has developed a lot from then. So I don't think we have gained any independence so far.
Independence means freedom, means liberty, means civilization for us Africa. You know, black is beautiful and black is melanin. So I believe in greatness all the way for Africa.
Independence is when you are able or you are free from being dependent on anybody. From the word independent, it means you are not dependent on anybody anymore. So independent means when you are free, some will say from the shackles of you as a human being, you are free from the supervision of your parents. As a country, you are free from the supervision of your colonial masters. But are we really free from the supervision of our colonial masters? The answer is no.
My name is Ignatius Kegama, the Catholic Archbishop of Abuja. I am a very strong fan of the Catholic television of Nigeria. I invite you to watch the Catholic television of Nigeria, which is now on Go TV and online. Don't miss this great program produced by this great Catholic television.
Hi, Catholic TV fan. We are the Glamour Girls of St. Columbani Secondary School, Ikwen, Obatakara local government area, in Akwa Ibom State. There is no place like St. Columbani's, and there is no TV station like the Catholic television. Stay connected.
You are watching CTV.
Welcome back to Daily Communion on Catholic Television of Nigeria. Of course, we are reaching you from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. We are back to continue the second part of our break, and our guest has been Mr. Nick Agule, who is a public affairs analyst. I want us to talk about restructuring. Restructuring, it has been out there. People have been talking about restructuring. What is this restructuring, and why has it been kind of complicated?
So, if you ask what restructuring is all about, I think it depends on who you're asking. There are extremes, and then there are middle positions. On the one extreme, for some people, restructuring simply means break up Nigeria. Let everybody go on their own. Whether you return to the 4 regions before, or simply just break up Nigeria into as many countries as you can. Maybe the kind of thing that Russia did. That's one extreme end. On the other extreme end, for some people, if you ask them about restructuring, they want us to look at the system of government, moving away from the presidential system of government, which we already said is expensive and is over-bloated, and it has taken away powers from the subnational government to the center. So they will want a change in system of government, whether we go back to the parliamentary system that we started with, or we go with a Nigerian-centric or African-centric coinage of a system of government that we want to use. If we talk to some people who are in the middle about restructuring, for them it will be keep Nigeria as it is, but devolve powers to the subnationals. So instead of the federal having all sorts of powers, they just keep the federal with defense, with foreign policy, with currency issuance, passport issuance, foreign policy, and things like that. Just leave that at the center. Take everything, policing, education, health, roads, water, electricity, all of those things to the states. That is their own idea of restructuring. So that's why I say it depends on who you are speaking to.
So for you?
Okay, so for me, if we say we should restructure Nigeria, I will first and foremost say that the first place to start is the Constitution.
Okay.
This Constitution that we have is a Constitution that was given to us by the military. Like you rightly said, it was General Abacha's Constitution. And this constitution was put together by General Abacha with an intention. And that intention was that he wanted to transmute from a military man to a civilian president. So we used to say we wanted to move from uniform or khaki to agbada, right? And so the constitution was built on power sitting with him. He wanted to be in control of everything, right? So if you look at the details of the constitution, you will see a military man who wanted to hold on to power. What they have done with this constitution for a long time is they have been chipping at it, taking power from the center and sending it to the subnationals. Like, you know, they took Electricity Act down, they took railways, and they're talking about taking policing now. For me, that process is disjointed. We just really need to ditch that constitution and build a new constitution for Nigeria. Because this constitution we have, it starts with a lie.
No, but
unfortunately, as a Nigerian,
Nigeria has done that during Jonathan's regime. There was a kind of conference. Either conference that had to, where experts had to make their input into what they want the Nigerian that we desire should be. And I don't know if it had sovereign powers or constitutional powers, but if we're going to wait and start another process, it's going to be time consuming, a lot of money. But there have been a lot of conferences that we can take things or communicate from there and implement it in our constitution and see how we can keep running without stopping and saying we need to do a constitutional review or dishing a constitution completely. Are you trying to say that everything in 1999 constitution is faulty?
Okay, so two things. My own position on restructuring, which was the question, is we need a brand new constitution. So whether that constitution is taken over from the constitutional conference that Obasanjo called it, Goodluck Jonathan called it, these two presidents called it, if that is where you want to start, you can start there. If you want to start a new process, start it. But my point is that what we have now tells a lie in the first sentence. What is the lie? This constitution we have begins with we, the people of Nigeria, haven't decided to live in unison in one sovereign nation, have given ourselves. That is a lie. I'm a Nigerian, but we have to speak truth to ourselves. There were no we, the people of Nigeria, sitting to make that constitution. True or false? There was no. There's a second lie. What's the lie? The lie is in the name of the constitution. The constitution says Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Nigeria is not running a federal system. So we call ourselves a federal republic, but we're running a unitary system of government. Because if you go to a federal system of government, that is the 4 regions that we had. That was a truly federal system of government, where the federating units are independent.
So are you saying we should go back?
So no, okay. So you are asking me a detailed question because I started to answer this question at a high level, and the high level I said start with the constitution. And when you start with this people constitution, right? A people constitution must include a provision for a referendum. Must. Because when different people come together as a nation, you must provide a doorway for if they don't want to be part of that nation to go. That is a truly people-centered constitution. Because if you don't provide them that doorway, then you are not imprisoning them. You now want them to belong to a union they don't want to be in. So when you provide that door for exit, run that constitution and let us see those who want to be part of Nigeria or those who want to exit.
So are you saying the various people, because there are some agitations currently going on, are you saying that they should let whoever is agitating to leave Nigeria go?
If they want to go, they go. That is the way, that is the democratic way to do it. Because look, there are advantages of remaining a one Nigeria. There are also disadvantages of remaining a one Nigeria. There are advantages of you living. There are also disadvantages of you living. So you will have to weigh everything and come up, because you see, for me, if you ask me what's my position will be that we remain one Nigeria. You know why? Because the bigger the better. There were nations that went apart, like Europe went apart. They now discovered that it's better we are together, and that is why you have the EU. The EU is Europe trying to come back. You know what I mean, right? So and then you can see even in North America, they now have the North American what's the name of the association that has Canada, US, and Mexico. You know, so then you have the Asian Nation, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So they are coming back in blocks. That's to tell you that there's economy of scale. You know, you can come back together as the bigger you are, the better. So those are advantages there. But if people still sufficiently feel that Nigeria is inhibiting them, they want to be part of this, they should have a free ride. If you ask me what will I advise them, I will say no, don't go, stay with the new people-centered constitution. We will have a better Nigeria. A better Nigeria is a Nigeria that reverses the roles. How do I mean by reverses the role? Right now, we, three of us here, and those in the studios who are citizens of Nigeria, we have been made to look like the servants of the leaders. A truly people-centric constitution will turn the tables, where we, the people of Nigeria, will be the owners of Nigeria. And the political leaders and the civil servant, that is the public servants and the civil servant, will truly take on their name. Because a lot of people don't understand that there is servant in their name. Public servant. President Tinubu is a public servant. FCT minister is a public servant. And then a permanent secretary is a civil servant. The director, that servant in their name means they need to be serving us. But now we are serving them. A people constitution will give us the powers as a people to take ownership of Nigeria, and we will be in a position to reprimand these servants if they don't do well for us. And I can assure you that once these servants know that the people have the power to reprimand them, these same people who are not delivering good governance to us now will start delivering good governance to us.
Okay, well, let us look at the issue. You mentioned some of our major challenges, and you singled out judiciary.
Yeah.
When you talk about judiciary and we look at the journey so far, a particular Nigerian democratic president fought corruption to a standstill. Another, I'm going to talk about the president that in his tenure, an inspector general of police was jailed. In his tenure, 2 governors were jailed. In his tenure, about some Senate presidents were removed. Some ministers were facing corruption charges. In his tenure, even members of the legislative arm were held. In his tenure, Nigeria had the best brains, people that you could call champions of administration. And in his tenure, judiciary seemed to be working. But right now, we've had again another presidency where a chief judge of Nigeria was abruptly removed and the lawyers could not do anything. And this had gone on. What is the problem? And before I ask this question, judiciary is being seen as the last hope of the common man. But now people are seeing judiciary as where politicians are planting their wives, their children, so that they can manipulate. Unfortunately, what is the problem? And can you tell us the solution? And for the common man, is there any hope? Should we still hope on Nigerian judiciary?
Okay, so let me say something before I answer your question. If a student is performing 20% in the class, and then another student came in and is doing 30%, we will say that the 30% student is overperforming over the 20% student. 2 things. That is not to say the person posting 20% is not working. It's working. At least he entered and wrote his name, and put something down that made the teacher give him 20%. That is not to say that the 30% person now has become a first-class student. No, he's not a first-class student. Even though he's doing better than the 20%, he has still failed, right? This is the situation that describes these regimes that you're talking about. The first regime you describe, if I get you right, and based on my own understanding as a Nigerian, that was the Obasanjo regime, right? And then the regime where Chief Judge was removed from office and treated is the Buhari regime, both democratic presidents. Now, Obasanjo, as much as we will give him credit for what he did, Obasanjo was God who, on step 4 of the manual, arrived in the Garden of Eden and noticed that there was a breakdown of law and order. Obasanjo asked the question. Unlike God, who didn't ask a question of who did it, he knew the people who did it. So he questioned them, right? What Obasanjo did was, Obasanjo now noticed that man and woman committed. But because man and woman were his party people, were those that sponsored his campaign, were those that were his friends or relatives and all of that, he turned a blind eye. He waited for goats and sheep and cats and dogs to commit, then he faced them. No, those are the ones that you are mentioning.
No, it's not true. Ibori was his party member. Ibori was a PDP man. Jang that was jailed was a PDP man. IGP that was jailed was his tribal man from his place. And a lot of people that he removed, even one of his allies in Nimsi, almost went to jail, and so many people. I don't think he was waiting for people that were, or Obasanjo, if we were going to look at that administration, when he was fighting corruption, you cannot compare what is happening now to what happened there. And people were not blaming judiciary. People were hailing judiciary. Judiciary, when people had judges at the Supreme Court, when they give ruling, everybody were praising judiciary. So if we're going to look at that particular system, that particular administration, vis-a-vis what we're getting now, we can look at it and say, days or then were the golden era of democracy, if we're going to look at even achievements and all that. So we can't say that Obasanjo or his administration, in all fairness, without being biased, was only targeting the ships. These people that were jailed were his own men, his own people. The IGP, the Inspector General of Police, we can't even think of it happening now. Was a Tafa Balogo, a first-class man, one of the best brains in the police. But this man called his bluff and had to put him in his place. It has the same thing he did with his party members, Ahmad Ali and some other PDP chieftain. So, frankly speaking, we must give it to him. He fought corruption, albeit maybe nobody is perfect as a human being. So, I would like us to look at it. You must give this man credit in fighting corruption. Yes. And vis-a-vis what we're having. The other person, and that was why I was waiting for you to call their names, removed a standing chief judge of Nigeria. And we have senior advocates, we have people that didn't do anything, that couldn't say anything. So you may equally wish to look at that.
Okay, thank you very much. You made fair points, right? Now, first and foremost, I totally agree with you that between the Obasanjo government and the succeeding governments to him, which is the Jonathan government, the Buhari government, and now the Tinubu government, Obasanjo government.
In fact, let me interrupt you. Remember, a particular president even said, stealing is not corruption.
Of course, that's good, Lord Jonathan.
So you can't.
Yeah, I call their names because if they want to come for me, I'm always available. so remember one thing: if we put them on the same pedestal, how we rank the Obasanjo government over these three governments, no doubt. But it's what I'm saying: 30% does not mean you are passed exam. A 30% student ranks over a 20% and a 10% and a 5% student. But still, that 30% student has not passed the exam. Let me tell you one thing. I personally feel that we were so unlucky to have Obasanjo to run the first relay of this Fourth Republic. And I will tell you why. Why were we unlucky to have him? Obasanjo is an elder statesman. He gave his life to Nigeria. I have no issues with that. He fought the Civil War, brought Nigeria back together. He gave the entirety of his life in the military, serving Nigeria at various levels, including being our head of state. And he came back to become a president. So I give that to him, right? But Obasanjo damaged our democracy in the Fourth Republic ab initio.
How?
Yes, exactly.
I'm very happy to hear that. How? How did he do it? Do you remember the pillars of democracy that I spoke about? The pillars of democracy are the few that you need to put in the Mercedes that is called democracy for it to work. Let's take the first one. The sanctity of the electoral process. Obasanjo had no hand in the 1999 election because the 1999 election was run by some political groups, and they just went and brought Obasanjo and said, come and become president. In fact, they agreed one term for him. Why did they bring him? Because Moshood Abiola and Obasanjo kinsman, who rightly won an election and was denied the presidency, the political apparatchiks knew that to pacify the Southwest, they must give this presidency to someone in the Southwest. That's how they brought Obasanjo in. That election that held in 1999, Obasanjo Southwest did not vote for him. They voted for Olufalaye. Problem started in 2003 election. Obasanjo will not have it that his own Southwest will not vote for him. What did he do? He damaged anything election by forcing that election and giving it to PDP. He took away the governorship in all of the Southwest states except Lagos, whose governor is the current president. And so PDP started to preside over damaged elections from day one, from that 2003. They so damaged the election that the second election Obasanjo conducted in 2007, the beneficiary of that election, President Yaradua, used his mouth to confess that I know that this election that brought me in is damaged. And he promised us one thing, that he was going to correct it. And that was the birth of the Justice Uwais Committee. If the Justice Uwais Committee recommendations were implemented, we would have put elections back into the hands of the people. But nobody has done it. Not Goodluck Jonathan, who is now trying to come back, that had the courage to do it. Not Buhari as a military head of state, where you think that he had nothing to fear and all that did it. And not Tinubu. He hasn't spoken about that for 2 years into office. So that is electoral process. That thing that they damaged, the PDP so damaged elections that they were so confident of how they can rig elections that they say, oh, 60 years, I want to be here.
I would like to interrupt.
I will finish.
I would like to interrupt.
I just finished on one of the pillars.
You have picked on the election.
No, I was coming to the other pillars.
I'm coming. I'm going to talk about President Obasanjo, former President Obasanjo, because a lot of people that are watching the program may not. If you're going to look at what he did or what he's not done, you talked about the election, how we damaged the election. But up to date, I don't think any democratic president in Nigeria has surpassed Obasanjo's good records. And I'll state to tell you, it's on record. Obasanjo created EFCC. EFCC has zonal offices and therefore creating more employment. Obasanjo created ICPC. ICPC has zonal offices and this has created employment. Obasanjo created Niger Delta Development Commission. Niger Delta Development Commission is spread over 11 states and there are jobs everywhere. Obasanjo created pension fund and PENCOM. PENCOM is there, and out of PENCOM is spillover effect. It's pension fund administrators. Obasanjo created that. Obasanjo created national open universities. You know how many people that have been employed there? Obasanjo created stabilized Naira, even when there was a global problem. Obasanjo brought in some best hands into Nigeria. We never knew who Okonjo Iweala is. So a lot of us never knew who Soludo was. A lot of us never knew who Erofai was. A lot of us never knew who Ribadu was. A lot of us never knew who Ogoko Onyuke was. A lot of us never knew who Doraku Ili was. A lot of us never knew who you can start. Obasanjo, I will tell you again, strengthened NHIS, now NHIA. Obasanjo strengthened FIRS, that is becoming one of the best public institutions by bringing in the best chairman that brought the FIRS what it is today. Obasanjo brought best and Dora Akunyili that has changed NAFDAC. A lot of us don't even know who the NAFDAC person is. Right. Obasanjo brought him civil defense to a level, made NCC, Nigeria Communication Commission, to a level that a lot of people crave to go there. Obasanjo got Nigeria debt forgiveness, which nobody has done. Obasanjo did the banking consolidation that saved a lot of us. Obasanjo brought Queen of England, hosted Chogom. I doubt if any Nigerian president can do that. Obasanjo brought the US president here and instituted, helped to do the African Growth and Opportunity Act. Obasanjo created Transcorp. Do you know how many people that are working in Transcorp today? Obasanjo created FEMA. What's it called? International relations, foreign affairs. Obasanjo reversed the coup in Satome and Principe. This gave Nigeria a lot of respect. Like I said, there was open war on corruption, which everybody saw. Even the foreign investment, you can't rule out MTN and other investment that came in. Now, what I'm saying, during Obasanjo's regime, a lot of people were calling him vindictive man. A lot of people there was no issue about tribalism the way we're talking about now. If not, maybe we wouldn't have had Okonjo Iweala running the finance, Soludo strengthening the CBN, Dora Akunyili, people that are not from his area, making sure that we are safe, even being shot. For goodness sake, let us give this man, he's not a saint, but let me tell you, Obasanjo stands out as the best. Not only from Nigeria, but the best in Africa. I stand to be corrected.
Okay, so thank you very much. Everything you have said, I have agreed with it. Everything you have said is factual. Obasanjo set up all of those institutions. As a Nigerian who have lived the majority of my life in Nigeria, I can attest to that. There's no issue with that. But do you know what you are describing? You are describing a father who, without building a proper foundation for the house, decided to bring in a TV station, a cooker for the children, put in a settee, put in bed on a foundation that can stand. What is the foundation? I started to give you the foundation before you went into that. If you have a democracy that does not have these pillars, all these institutions you have mentioned, why are they not making our lives better? Because the foundation is not there. No. Obasanjo damaged the foundation. Okay. No, I gave you time to speak. So you spoke for like 10 minutes. I don't know this conversation about Obasanjo, but we can deal with Obasanjo.
I needed to list that because you see somebody.
So you mentioned there's nothing else you are going to add. Okay. Because if there's anything more you're going to add the good work that Obasanjo did. And I'm not disagreeing with it. I agree that Obasanjo did all of this, right? But what I'm saying is that Obasanjo damaged the foundation. So despite the fact that he furnished the house couldn't stand to give the children and his family the comfort that should be needed. Do you understand? And how do I mean? If all these things you are mentioning is not the people who are electing the leaders, it's not going to work. The leaders will only use these institutions to make life better for the people only if they know that their own fate depends on the people. It's all over the world. If the British Prime Minister knows that he can rig election and become Prime Minister, he's not going to deliver for the UK people. It's not about Nigeria. The reason why he's delivering for UK people, he knows that his future is in the hands of the UK people. And if they want to take him out, they will take him out. Like now, Nigel Farage is coming in strong. And he knows they can take him out. So day and night, he's struggling everything within himself to try and do what to deliver. You build institutions, not people, not personalities. So the institution of our electoral process, an institution, is weak, weakened by Obasanjo. What was the second one? Second one is the judiciary. The judiciary was totally weakened by Obasanjo. You know why? In Obasanjo, the Supreme Court of Nigeria will give a judgment. Do you know what Obasanjo's Attorney General will say? He will give an interpretation of the judgment.
That's true.
And that interpretation was what Obasanjo wanted, and it will happen. Damage the institution of the judiciary. Where did he go next? He went to the legislative arm of government. Obasanjo will use 4 members of a state house of assembly to impeach a governor. True or false? True. Damaging that institution. You see, in a democracy is a painful process. You know, the executive, you have a lot of powers. Then you have the judiciary, the legislature, and then the people try to clip your wings. You have to let them clip your wings if you want that democracy to thrive. But if you come in with so much executive powers and refuse for your wings to be clipped, what you leave us with is what we are struggling with now. You get what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that Obasanjo did well by setting up all these institutions, but he weakened the pillars of democracy. And thereafter, the troubles that our democracy started to face under him have continued till today. Till today, it's got worse. It's got worse, but he started it. It got worse because we don't have the independence of the judiciary. We don't have independence of the legislature. The people don't have their independence to you know. Then we don't. There is no independence. There is no sanctity of the electoral process. You see what I'm saying? These are the pillars that he should have built. He didn't build them, and that's why we are where we are.
A quick one before we round up. I want you to. There's been insurgency in Nigeria, a lot of killing. A lot of people would like to look at it from the religious point of view, and you come from an area that have suffered a lot of devastation, including IDPs. How can we address insurgency across Nigeria? Please, just can we go to preferring solutions, please?
Thank you very much. Even when we had a break, I was discussing this with Joy. There is insecurity everywhere in the world. Even yesterday being Sunday, a gunman walked into a church in Michigan in the US, shot people, set the church on fire, right? And all of that. So there's insecurity. Everywhere in the world there's insecurity. So insecurity itself is not a problem in Nigeria. The difference between Nigeria and elsewhere is how are we responding to that. Insecurity in terms of solution is in 2 ways. There is the first way which prevents that insecurity incident from happening. And then there is the second way whereby despite your best efforts to prevent, it still happens, then the response. How is Nigeria doing on these 2 ways? You prevent with intel. That's what you do. You prevent with intel. And that intel gathering has to be holistic. I was telling Joy of a simple system that other nations are using, both for that prevention and for the response, which is a 999 system. As we are here now, I have 2 phones, George got one, you got one. Maybe there are 2 SIMs in your own here, and then the producer has got. Turn these telephone lines into making us to be the first line of defense in our security architecture. Meaning, as we are here and somebody comes into that next house and we don't understand the movement in that house, I just take my phone and I dial 999. What is the issue? We'll be noticing some movement into one house. We don't understand it. Because we are now the eyes. How many policemen can the Inspector General post on every street corner in Abuja or around the country? How many army people can you post on every street corner? There's no nation that has the money, the budget to do that. What you do is that you turn your own citizens into the first line of defense. Because your citizens are in every street corner in the whole country. and when they see something, they call you and give you the intel. And then you work on that intel. Like if they give intel about that house, then they will now send proper intelligence people to come and start monitoring that house. That's how you are preventing. Assuming despite all your prevention, we now hear gunshot in that next house. I asked Joy when we went off on break, I said, Joy, if you hear gunshot in the next compound, bang, 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 who would you call? Do you know who Joy told me he would call? Just say I will call my relatives to tell them that this is what is happening, and she's correct. That is what 99% of Nigerians will do, because the government has not provided us the infrastructure to call them.
Simple number.
A simple number. A 999 number. If you are well connected, you may know the number to the FCT police commissioner. But what if you call him on that GSM number, he's busy? Or he's not there to take it, or he has no battery, or he's sleeping.
So that's a popular community policing. What's next should we do after the community being involved?
Thank you. So that is number one. This thing, if you have it, would have solved more than 50 to 60% of your security issues, right? Number two, like I said, in the US, when that gunman came to that church, killed some people, set the church on fire, what is the fate of that gunman now? He's dead. Right? The security will give you only two options: surrender and be arrested and brought to justice, or we fix you an appointment with God. Is that happening in Nigeria? No. No. So by way of solution, we have to have an effective response in place, so that if these people know that if I go and kidnap somebody or go and kill somebody or do something, I have only two options. If I want to commit suicide, I can do it to a taper down, right? Of course, number three, we're spending a lot of money on security. The lion's share of the budget year in, year out is on security. What is happening to this security? The president needs to ask the question. The president had a media chat, and he was asked the question, Mr. President, your predecessor, President Buhari, started a probe of the security architecture, specifically the military. Are you going to continue? What did he say? He said if he probes the military, it will amount to disrespecting the institution. These are his words. What does that mean? It means he gave them a blank check. So we are pumping more money into security, but the incidents of insecurity are rising. They should have an inverse relationship. That is, the more money we pump in, the less it should be going. It's not going.
Yeah, Mr. Nick.
You want to take you from me? Take you from me.
Yeah, our time has
There are other
passed,
solutions.
and we really have to go. Yes, there are other solutions. I will definitely have to bring you back here. But one sentence, I just want to say: military and democracy. Which do you prefer?
Well, I think you wanted to say military or civilians.
Yes.
The civilians always.
Okay, civilians.
Because one of the problems that we have in Nigeria is the military. It's the military that damaged Nigeria to the level where we are now.
Okay.
Remember we were talking about Obasanjo? Don't forget he was a military leader. And when he became a civilian leader, he didn't remember that in civilian leadership, even if you don't like a governor, you can't just remove him. Do you understand? But the way he would do it in the military time, where they would just do a decree, was how he was not doing it in the civilian time. If they had allowed our first republic, the parliamentary system that was started with 1960, to just go through the pains of developing, we'll have a different Nigeria today.
We'll have a different Nigeria today, and that's a good point to end with. And that's where we drop the anchor for today's show. Our guest has been a public affairs analyst, Mr. Nick Agule, and we've been talking about the national framework of Nigeria. Remember, you can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and even YouTube at Catholic Television of Nigeria. You can now watch us on GoTV channel 115 and on free-to-air Nicomsat. As for me, we'll see you next time. I remain Joy Ubem.
And my name is Arthur Ejiofor. Happy Independence.